So welcome to our third webinar in our 2023 series. Thanks for joining the session today. I did say on one of them yesterday, Happy New Year. So I'm going to say the same again to you guys. Happy New Year. I know it's the 18th of January. I'm going to say it till the end of January. So yeah, Happy New Year. I'm pleased everybody is sort of safe in the snow or whatever weather conditions they're experiencing this morning. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're really excited to start our 2023 webinar series. We really want to talk to you today about our exciting engineering apprenticeship opportunities. We're aiming for this to be an interactive session. So if you have questions that you, sort of big questions that you want to ask, we will take them to one side and answer them in the Q&A panel at the end. If there are a few questions that you want to ask as we go through, Ian and myself, supported by Brian, who's one of the other programme managers, will try and answer them as well. And there may be some answers in there from our panellists too. My name is Liz Kingston. I'm the UK apprenticeship lead for the apprentices in the UK. And my role is I am responsible for the attraction, selection and recruitment process for the apprentices that join Amazon. So just handing over to you, Ian. Oh, I think Ian might have frozen. Okay, I think Ian's frozen, so I'm gonna introduce him for you. So Ian Grant is one of the senior program managers. So Ian's role is to work with our apprentices when they are on program. So you'll become really familiar with Ian. He is at the moment works alongside another program manager who today will be answering questions in the chat box. So that is Brian Butler. Just moving on to our panel for today. I don't know if you guys want to come on camera and introduce yourself. Hopefully you'll have a little bit more luck than Ian. There we go. Paul, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Paul. I'm one of the area managers. I'm currently based at Man 3 in Manchester. I have 19 apprentices and I'm also one of the area managers for this year's programme. But also one of my roles is that I'm the appointed point of contact for the apprenticeship programme within the RME team. So what I do is I liaise between sites and Ian and Brian and give them the support that they need when they need to raise and escalate issues with the various sites across the UK.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I'm only going along what I can see here. So Dan, do you want to go next? I don't think we can hear you very well, Dan. You might want to just let's go back to Kieran and just see if you might need to switch your microphone on, Dan. Kieran?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kieran. I'm one of the IT engineer apprentices within Amazon Fulfillment. I work quite closely within one of the fulfillment centres here in Luton, which is LTN4, making sure the site from an internet and an IT perspective stays running 24/7 all week.
A big job.
Yep.
Thank you. Dan, are you...
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Hi.
There you go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so guys, I'm a Mechatronics apprentice at Man 8 in St Helens, and we undergo all the maintenance on the mechanical side and electrical side of all the machines in here, which is the same as Kieran's a 24/7 job. Been here for a year and a half now, and up to now, I've really enjoyed my time here.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you. So you guys get to have a bit of a break, listen to the questions, respond to any of them in the chat box, and come back for the panel, if that's okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
Okay. So just in terms of today's agenda, we've got lots of great information for you today. So we're going to cover the programmes and I think answer some of the frequently asked questions that we get in relation to those. and really sort of outline to you why Amazon is a great place to be an apprentice. As I mentioned, we are going to talk about, there'll be an opportunity for sort of panel questions at the end, but we're also going to talk about how we hire into the programmes, and what the recruitment process will look like, some tips for success, etc., etc. Okay, so just to sort of get you all warmed up this morning, I wanted to just ask you to put in the chat box, actually, if it's okay. If I asked you the question, what do you think about when you think about Amazon? Can some of you just sort of share with me, or hopefully lots of you share with me, what your sort of initial responses to that question would be? Pop them in the chat and let's see what everybody has got to say. Whilst you're doing that as well, just at the top of the screen on the right, we have closed captioning for you. So if you click on the link, you will be able to find closed captioning for this session as well. Sorry, I should have said that at the start. Okay, so thank you. Opportunities, fast delivery, innovation. Thanks, Vlad. Prime from Madison. International shipping company focused on efficiency and customer services. Thanks, Caleb. That's good to hear. Smile. Yeah, that's true. AWS, big company with big dreams. Yeah, it's true. We've come a long way, I have to say. Innovative. I always struggle with that word, but it's a good one. Brown boxes. Thanks, Christos. Yeah, we get that a lot. Diversity. Thanks, John Paul. Okay, lots of opportunities. Great customer support. That's good to hear. Safety. Yeah, that's something that we'll talk about as well. That's definitely at the forefront of our business in every way, actually. So, okay, fantastic. Thank you. So a lot of what we get, unsurprisingly, and I think a couple of you might have mentioned, is, I suppose, the sort of side that a lot of people see. So I know for me, there's probably a few too many boxes that arrive at our house. And the vans, I think, are fairly staple, aren't they, when we're sort of driving around the streets and sort of sat in our house and see them whizzing past. I think the huge warehouses, and Dan and Kieran touched upon, you know, these programs essentially are responsible for powering, you know, the warehouses that sit at the centre of our delivery and fulfilment businesses, which is really exciting. And then obviously all of the technology that sits behind that as well, which is 24/7 and relentless, but relentless in terms of how innovative it's really becoming in terms of the whole robotics side. It is something to behold, and if you haven't already seen the opportunities to come and meet us as part of National Apprenticeship Week, I'd really encourage you to have a look and see whether you can make it into the FCs. We've got events that are running in Mansfield, just outside Nottingham. We've got Swindon, we've got Gateshead, and we've got Bolton. So yeah, you can come and join us, learn more about the apprentices, and actually see some of the brilliant technology that powers our delivery stations. So some interesting facts for you as well. We are a hugely diverse business, and we've got a lovely sort of wheel here that outlines to you a lot of the different Amazon subsidiaries that sort of sit behind probably more of the visual things that you might see out and about in your daily life. I know one of the things that I was thinking about when I was joining Amazon was how closely linked I was to a whole host of sort of services that I've not really thought about. I knew I was a Prime customer, and then I realised that I was a Studios customer. I'm not sure if anybody else has been watching Lord of the Rings, but that's been brilliant. Amazon has created and delivered that as part of our Studios and Prime offering. But I was also a Ring customer, an Alexa customer, a Kindle customer, a music customer. You know, so it's really interesting, I think, how much sort of diversity of business we have, and how many things also sort of touch all of our lives. Some of these absolutely massive numbers here sort of sit alongside the phenomenal work that our fulfillment and delivery stations do. So We ship approximately 1.6 million packages, and that's a day, which is unbelievable. We have 66,000 orders per hour, and that equates to roughly 18.5 orders per second. So if you think of the business that sits behind that to power it, it's absolutely unbelievable. We sell ourselves over 12 million products. And if you take into account all the products sold on the Amazon marketplace by our third-party sellers, that number rises to more than 353 million products that you can get from Amazon, which is absolutely unbelievable. Some of the other innovations that I just sort of wanted to talk to you about, drone development in the UK. We are building electric drones that will be able to deliver packages under £5 to customers in less than 60 minutes. Not only do we stream, we also create. So I mentioned before, Amazon Originals is responsible for blockbuster films and TV. We've got the Kindles, which I think everybody's familiar with. It launched in 2007 and it feels like it's been with us forever. But it did revolutionise the world of publishing, both in terms of published authors, but giving people the ability to self-publish, and also making reading accessible to everybody, young children, people that need support in reading, so text sizes and all of that sort of great stuff as well. In-house entertainment is coming a long way. You might have a Fire TV stick, you might be a subscriber to Amazon Prime. We then have our fresh stores. When I think about the concept of walking out of a retail hub without paying, it's absolutely unbelievable. Advanced shopping, we've got the lockers, we've got Amazon Pay, we've got in-home installation now, which is absolutely incredible. Amazon Web Services, I think some people might have mentioned that in the chat when I asked you to think about Amazon. Their reach is absolutely unbelievable. And home automation, one of the things that I found really interesting last year is we are launching the Ring Always Home camera, which is a drone that flies around your house. Again, it just sort of shows you all of the technology spaces and all of the drive to improve and continue to move forward. Enough about Amazon and more about what an apprenticeship is for us. So I'm just going to hand over to Ian, who I'm really pleased is back with us.
Yes.
You're back.
Yeah. Apologies for that. I wasn't able to introduce myself earlier on because of a technical hitch. Right at the moment I was due to come on, my internet dropped. However, it seems to be resolved now. So quick introduction. My name's Ian. I'm one of the program managers at Amazon looking after the apprenticeship program, and I'm here to talk to you in a bit more detail about the apprenticeships. So an apprenticeship, hopefully you're all aware of what it is, but it's a job with training. It's a very structured job with training. We offer apprenticeships so across all levels at Amazon, from level 2 up to level 7, which is a master's degree apprenticeship, and they're an ideal opportunity for new employees to learn a new skill, to gain a qualification, to have hands-on experience working with people who can already do the job, but also have that backup from a training provider, a school, a college, a university, who give you that academic side of the qualification. And this year at Amazon, we're going to be recruiting into a range of apprenticeship programs, and we sort of split them into different categories, really. So we have a digital creative, sales and marketing, operations, engineering, technology, and business. So those are the categories that we're recruiting into this year. And these apprenticeships, as I say, are suitable for external people, so anybody that wants to get into these fields, but also for internal people who perhaps want to retrain in a new direction. And this year we're celebrating 10 years of apprenticeships. So when I started at Amazon just over 6 years ago, we had 2 apprenticeship schemes, and the apprenticeships themselves had been launched 10 years ago. And we started off with, I think, with about 9 apprentices. When I came here, we've got about 20 apprentices. But since then, over the last 10 years, we've actually had 2,683 people have gone through our apprenticeship program since then. And we're really proud of that fact, and we want to celebrate that this year. We've got lots of events going on, but what we do want to do is recruit more apprentices, so more apprentices into all sectors of the business. And we're going to be running these events such as this to enable people to find out more about the apprenticeship programs. And as Liz says, we've got the in-person events and lots of activities happening over National Apprenticeship Week. So we've got a clear vision about what we want, and we want to work with leading providers of apprenticeships who offer sort of specialist mentoring, technical education, and we have a big team at Amazon. So I'm one of those, one of that team, and our job is to make sure that our apprenticeships meet the business need. So we're offering apprenticeships for across the business to upskill people, to retrain people, to give people the skills that we want. But we also want to make sure that they're right for the apprentices. So we want the right people on the right programs, and really, it's a passion of ours, and we're really invested in apprenticeships. It's part of what we do, and it's part of it's part of the big vision for Amazon that apprenticeships are going to be one of the major ways that we get new talent into the business.
Thank you. So I think it might be back to me. I'm going to take you through our leadership principles. So I would encourage anybody everybody on the call actually, to sort of go on our Refresh website and access all of the information that you can about Amazon. So to enable us to grow at the pace that we have, there's two things that are really important to us: culture and innovation. To say that I said it was a word that I couldn't really say, it comes up a lot in this webinar. And our leadership principles really are key to how we hire people and then how we evaluate their success as they go through the business. We hold ourselves as Amazonians accountable for demonstrating the leadership principles throughout our actions every day, and they really are the lifeblood of our business. They describe how we do business, how we as leaders lead, and how we keep our customer at the centre of the decisions that we make every day to power the business that we work within. They help us relentlessly pursue our mission of being Earth's most customer-centric company and the best employer. And we mentioned before about the safety element. So they also focus on making us the safest place to work. I know that there's a lot of information on this slide, and what I would encourage you to do is pick out from the 16 leadership principles the ones that really resonate with you. I know that, again, when I was joining Amazon, the ones that I sort of put almost at the top of this list for me were the customer obsession one, in terms of starting with the customer. And part of the role I have is all of the individuals that apply to be part of the apprenticeship scheme are essentially my customers. So my role is making sure that you have a brilliant experience, that you understand all about the programs, and that you nominate yourselves, and we support that nomination to get you onto the right program. Ownership is something that flows through the sort of lifeblood of our business. And the learn and be curious piece as well. With curiosity comes a desire for knowledge, and it's true to say in Amazon we never stop learning. And the earn trust piece, in terms of being respectful to those around you, and building a collaborative approach where everybody has the opportunity to contribute and succeed. I mentioned before about the customer. I'm not sure if anybody, when I asked you about what you think about when you think about Amazon, mentioned Jeff Bezos actually. But customer obsession is one of the founding principles of Amazon. Every day is day one, and the possibilities are endless. And thinking about whoever our customer is, dependent upon the role that you fulfill in Amazon, is really, really important in terms of being successful within our business. We also wanted to mention as well that essentially no two Amazonians look the same, and we take pride in celebrating you being you. We are a diverse business, and we create career journeys. We want to attract apprentices that reflect our customers and our diversity of thought. We have 13 affinity groups, and these really reflect the diversity of the employers that we have and allows them to connect together, share experiences, and you can either be a sort of quiet or an active participant, but the affinity groups are a brilliant way of really sort of demonstrating how diverse a company we are. So I'm going to hand over to Ian for two reasons. Firstly, I need to find the plug to power my laptop because it's saying low battery. And secondly, Ian is the expert in the engineering apprenticeships of 2023. So over to you, Ian, just to sort of talk through the apprenticeships that we have in engineering.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, so we're looking at 4 apprenticeships here. So engineering and IT. We call them, so some of those are engineer as well. So we have 4 programs. We've got the Mechatronics Reliability Maintenance Engineer, a bit of a mouthful. The Automation Reliability Maintenance Engineer. We've got the IT Engineer, and you'll notice that these come at different levels. So the Mechatronics apprenticeship is a level 3 apprenticeship over 48 months. The Automation Engineer, that's a level 6 apprenticeship, so you get a degree out of that at the end of it. The IT Engineer, again, is a 48-month programme, and that is a level 6, although it's level 8 in Scotland or level 10 in Scotland. And that IT Engineer one is in effect 2 apprenticeships. And I'll explain a little bit more about the content of these apprenticeships as we go on. And we also have the IT Support Apprenticeship, which is a level 3 apprenticeship, the same as the Reliability Maintenance Engineering one. And just to be clear, RME is what we call the engineering team. It stands for Reliability, Maintenance and Engineering. So if I mention RME, I'm talking about the engineering teams. And if I'm talking about, I mention IT, I'm talking about the IT teams, the IT engineers. So to start with the Mechatronics apprenticeship, we've been offering, this is the apprenticeship that we've offered for sort of 10 years. So this was the one that we started with, and it's evolved over that time, it's fair to say. And what we've developed now is an apprenticeship which we think is best in class. It's a world-leading apprenticeship. And the first year of that apprenticeship, you would be at a training centre in either Coventry or Oxford. And that's where you learn the basic skills to be a maintenance engineer. It's much easier, it's a much better way to teach people those real core engineering skills to go away to a training provider where you can get that specialist attention. And that's for the first academic year of the programme. And during that time, you will be accommodated. So Amazon pay for your accommodation. You get your wage, and also you get travel expenses to and from the training provider. But you do need to be aware that you would be based in Coventry or Oxford at that training provider for the first year of the apprenticeship. And what we're looking for applicants for this apprenticeship is 3 GCSEs as a minimum. And one of those must be English and one must be maths, and ideally a science or technology apprenticeship qualification at GCSE or equivalent level. And at the end of that apprenticeship, you'll gain the apprenticeship standard, which is the engineering technician mechatronics pathway standard in England. In Wales, it's the same apprenticeship. In Scotland, it's the modern apprenticeship in engineering maintenance pathway. And whether you're England, Wales or Scotland, you will also have the opportunity to continue your academic studies to HNC level in engineering. The Automation Engineer Apprenticeship, as I say, that's a level 6 apprenticeship, so that's a degree level apprenticeship. And for this one, we need you to have 5 GCSEs plus 2 A levels at C or above, or have previously done a HNC or HND in engineering, ideally electrical electronic engineering, or have a BTEC level 3 in engineering plus the further maths qualification, so the 180 credit BTEC. So that's what we're looking for entry. And similar to the Mechatronics apprenticeship, you'll spend the first year training off-site, and that one we operate in a partnership with a company called Siemens. And what we train with this program is automation skills, so programming PLCs. But what we want at the start is you to learn the basics of engineering as well. So that's why we also send you away to a training provider Tameside College in Manchester for the first academic year. And similarly, all costs are paid for by Amazon. So the IT engineer apprenticeship, this is again, it's a level 6 apprenticeship. And we've got various locations that we're recruiting for all of these programs in across the UK. And this apprenticeship, rather than having that first year off the job, you start work initially in a fulfillment centre. And just to mention that the other apprenticeships are based in either fulfillment centres, delivery stations or sort centres, and they're 3 different parts of the Amazon operations business, the customer fulfillment business. So you'll be based in one of those locations after the first year. The IT engineers and IT team, they cover all of those locations as well. You would typically be based in a fulfillment centre, which is one of our larger buildings. And for this apprenticeship, we are looking for people with 5 GCSEs at grades C or 4 or above, must include English and maths and 1 other STEM subject, ideally an IT subject. And we're also looking for people with some IT experience, ideally, for this apprenticeship. I mentioned before that this is 2 apprenticeships. So this is the reason why we're not looking for people with A levels, particularly to start this apprenticeship, because the first part of the apprenticeship is network engineering level 4 apprenticeship. And that then, once you pass that, that gives you the entry qualifications for the level 6 part of the program. In addition to the actual apprenticeship standard, you'll also take these vendor qualifications, so MD 100, CCNA and ITIL, which are in addition to the apprenticeship qualifications. That's what you'll achieve. So you'll end up with, at the end of this apprenticeship, you'll end up with 2 apprenticeships, a degree, plus these vendor qualifications. And it's delivered on block release, this one. So rather than having the full first year off the job, you will spend 6 block weeks at a training provider across the UK, and there's various different locations, and some of this can be done virtually as well, to gain all of those qualifications, to gain the technical and academic knowledge that you'll need to pass the qualification. This is a 48-month qualification, the same as the first 2 we talked about, so a 4-year apprenticeship overall. And then finally, we've got the IT support apprenticeship, and this is for people who have 3 GCSEs, 4 to 9, A to C or equivalent, with maths and English being required. During this apprenticeship, you'll also study the vendor qualifications, and you will also gain the ICT, which is the new apprenticeship standard, and it's the support technician pathway of that ICT apprenticeship standard. Again, it's delivered on block release. So you'll go away for week sessions at the training provider, and that again across England and various locations. And during the program, you will be working in an FC, and you'll have the support of the IT team. You'll be working alongside IT professionals who can already do the job. And with all of the apprenticeship programs, you will have a mentor. You'll have somebody who is assigned to work with you and to be your mentor, to support you through the program. And we also have the training provider. So they are there to, they basically a training provider coach, and they will guide you and your mentor and your manager, if that isn't the same person as your mentor, through the program. They're there to support you through every step of the way on the program. And of course, there's also the apprenticeship team. So myself, Brian, Paul, who's on the call, we're all here, and others as well. We're all here to support apprentices through the program. So what we're looking for, so what you'll need to achieve, first of all, to get onto the program, which is what we're looking for, but also whilst on the program, we're looking for aptitude. So we're looking to recruit people who have a basics aptitude for the apprenticeships that they're applying for, so either engineering aptitude or IT aptitude. We need people with that academic baseline, so we want to set people up to succeed. So that's the reason why we set these academic qualifications that we require at the start, because there's no point us putting people onto programs if they're not academically ready. So if the program's too high for a person academically, then they're not going to succeed. And we're looking for you to be able to demonstrate that you actually have an interest in the apprenticeship that you're applying for. So I would recommend, if you do come to apply, make sure that your CV is up to date, and make sure it mentions everything that you do and what you're interested in, because quite often, as you know, and apprenticeships are available to everybody, not just for younger people, but particularly for younger people who perhaps are just leaving college and might not have a lot of work experience. So it's really important to be able to show to us that you what you've done outside of college, or what you've done at college and school, what part-time work you've got, and really what interest you've got into the area that you're applying for. The other thing that we want is the right attitude. So you need to have a desire to succeed and continue with your learning, because an apprenticeship is that job with training, that job with learning. There is a big academic side of it, and if you're not committed to that further learning, if you just want to leave school because you're fed up with learning, then an apprenticeship isn't for you. It is a job with learning, with training, and so we need people with that attitude, that have that desire to want to continue to learn. And we want them to be ownership, and have that ownership and commitment to their own development. That learn and be curious, one of the leadership principles that Liz mentioned earlier on. That's really important for people who are applying for and taking part in an apprenticeship. And we want you to have that ambition. We want you to be ambitious for yourself. We want you to push yourself to achieve the highest that you can on the apprenticeship. And again, we want you to align with our and resonate with our leadership principles, because at the end of the apprenticeship, hopefully you will all be, those successful candidates will all be moving into roles within Amazon in the field that they've done their apprenticeship in, and you will need to demonstrate those leadership principles to progress through the business. And that's what we want. We want apprenticeships for people who want that long-term career, and they're a long-term commitment in themselves. The minimum duration that we're talking about here is 18 months up to 4 years, so it is a long-term commitment for anyone on an apprenticeship. So Liz, I think it's back to you.
Thank you. I found my power cable, we'll all be pleased to know. Okay, so when we're thinking about the application and assessment process for 2023, we want to give everybody an opportunity to succeed. So we try to make it as in-depth as possible, but as sort of concise as possible, if you like. And because of the variety of applications that we receive from our apprenticeships, it's really sort of trying to draw down the attitude and ambitions that Ian mentioned, and also align those to general interests, and sort of making sure that you're applying for the right program for you. So one of the key things that I would say to make sure that you do is look at our new website, really carefully evaluate the different programs. We've gone through them today, and just make sure that you're applying for the right program that supports all of the things that we've just mentioned in terms of ambition, aptitude and attitude. Our vacancies open to coincide with National Apprenticeship Week, so you will be able to apply online from Monday, the 6th of February. So that is definitely a date for your diary. We will ask you to share your CV, and we know for some you will have a really extensive CV full of commercial experience, which is really brilliant, and for others that may be quite limited. So try and draw down your hobbies, your interests, and things that you generally think would position you well for the role that you're applying for. So from an engineering perspective, if you have been and visited an FC and you've got a really great overview as to what this program does, and you've been to see it in the real world, that would be a brilliant thing to mention on your CV. It'll take you about 30 minutes to apply online, follow through our...
Dear. Well, I think that's stopped. That's good.
Bear with me.
We can hear you now, Les. It's all right, I think.
I'm not sure it's going to stop, if I'm honest.
Right.
It will take about 30 minutes. So follow the eligibility questions and complete a short assessment. We've gone through the eligibility criteria for each of the programs, so it should be quite straightforward. If you move on from that stage, you will then go on to an online evaluation, which will be a short video questionnaire based on 3 sort of key questions, pretty much around why are you interested in this program, why do you think Amazon is the right place for you, and have a look at the leadership principles and sort of tell us why they resonate with you and why. For some of the technical schemes, there may be a short technical test, and I think that might apply to some of the engineering ones as well. And again, that's relatively short. It's to give us an indication as to your level of experience. If you don't have any experience, that isn't to say that would preclude you at this point. It's just to make sure that we sort of understand where you might be from a proficiency perspective. If you then move forward, it will be into a virtual assessment centre. We're holding all of these online again this year just to make sure that cost and travel isn't prohibitive to people joining. And that will include a group exercise. You will be asked to give a presentation on a topic of your choice in terms of something that you might be interested in. Then we will put you into a group task, and you will get an opportunity to meet some of the hiring managers for the teams that you will long term be operating in. So really, really great opportunity for you to ask them about the programs and about what it's like to work in engineering at Amazon, and really where that can sort of take your career. It's a two-way process, so we want to make sure that what we're offering is right for you as well. So it's a brilliant opportunity to ask questions, and we aim to give a quick turnaround in terms of knowing if you've been successful. So you will be contacted by the recruitment team with an outcome if you are successful, and then we will sort of take you through to the next stages. On each of the programme overviews on the website, it also gives an indication as to when all of these programmes will start. So it's really important that you are available for your start date, just to make sure that you don't miss anything. So, as I mentioned, our apprenticeships are live from the 6th of Feb. You can access these via the website, which is listed here. Our programmes start from August through to October, and I think we've probably gone through, these are the most diverse locations in terms of programmes, so we're really hoping that there will be something local to you. Don't delay your application. We will be looking at them as they arrive, so we're not looking at sort of stockpiling them and then looking at them. So it's really important, and this is why we've run the webinars relatively early this year, that you start thinking about, are we the right place for you? Are these the sorts of programmes that you would like to join? Start building out your CV, start thinking about how the leadership principles resonate with you, and then really I'm encouraging you to put your applications through as early as possible. We do have a specialist team to support you if you need reasonable adjustments, or if you would like to talk to them about any additional support you may need as part of the application process. That's our ACAT team, and they are separate to the recruitment team. They are there basically to support you. I've mentioned in terms of putting you in a position to succeed, and that's what the ACAT team are there to do if you do need some additional support. We do have a mailbox for additional questions, but I would also say take the time to read through the website really thoroughly. There are a lot of questions that are answered in there, and those questions actually have their own page, so we have a frequently asked questions page on there as well. So take the time to have a look at all of those. Okay. I'm going to. Can our panel come back on, please?
Hi, has anybody got any? I know Liz has nipped off somewhere. It's probably to try and strangle that person who's making a noise. Oh, she's back. Right. Hello.
Sorry about that, everybody. We are having a new burglar alarm fitted today, and they seem to have taken this opportunity to do a little bit of drilling. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Abby in the recruitment team has been compiling the questions. Thank you, Abby, for that. Just in terms of the ones that have come through, I'm going to put Ian on the hot spot to begin with. One of the questions from Holly is, do engineering apprentices have the opportunities to travel?
Yes, so travel within the UK, definitely. Obviously, you'll be attending the training centre, but post that, I know a lot of our apprentices have helped out with launches in Europe. So, that is something that we are part of. The apprenticeship team is actually part of an EU-wide apprenticeship team. We have apprentices doing engineering and IT across Europe, and we want to train people to be at the same level wherever they are. So post apprenticeship, there are opportunities for you to apply for roles across Europe, but also during the apprenticeship, yes, there may well be opportunities for you to go to particularly launch sites across Europe and help out the IT and engineering teams at those sites.
Hi, Ian. Just to elaborate on that, just to give some people an idea, I've had apprentices last year working in France, launching a site in Metz. And this year, just before Christmas, we had some apprentices working in Barcelona who were doing a project for the automation team over there. So there are opportunities for apprentices to travel abroad and support the different sites.
Brilliant. I'm hoping that answers your question. So I've got a question for Dan from, I think, somebody called Kobe Allen. So they have asked, Dan, what experience did you have when applying for the Mechatronics role?
Yeah, so before I came to Amazon, I was a communications engineer, not fully qualified, but that's the industry I was working in. That involved CCTV installation, networks, fibre optics, and previous to that, I worked in a welding workshop. So I was always involved within some sort of engineering. And as a hobby, I actually have cars that take the track days. So I was always involved in taking cars apart, putting them back together, fault finding, find out myself how to fix certain parts of the car. And so from there, it stemmed into a career in engineering, which is why I came to Amazon and applied for the Mechatronics role.
Thanks, Dan. I think that's probably a really good indication of some of the general interests and some of the sort of hobby things that you've now turned into a career. Yeah. Kieran, from your perspective, I know it's sort of not quite the same question, but what experience did you have when you applied for your apprenticeship program? Did you have a similar sort of background in hobbies or interests, or what brought you into this area?
I mean, definitely from a hobbies and interest perspective, IT has always been a big thing for me. I didn't have that much professional experience before. Just before this, obviously, when I started, it was the year of COVID. So I was still one that all got shut down quite early, unfortunately. I was working part-time in Currys, doing a lot of their support and repairing laptops that came in and things like that. So I had experience in that sense, but nothing on a level that this is, and it's just allowed me to learn more and develop myself into what I want to be in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so the next question I think could probably go to Ian or Paul, actually. It's from one of our attendees called Alex. So Alex is asking, I have a self-taught automotive background. Is it possible to go into the engineering side of it? Paul and Ian.
Yes. We take everybody from all backgrounds and all skills. So if you do have that, it does help. But yeah, we take everybody on from all walks of life.
Does working in an automotive background sort of make it easier, would you say, or would that sort of fit in that sort of general interests and just sort of platform to move forward?
It does make it easier. It gives people an understanding, once they get into the program. And but it's not necessary, because obviously the apprenticeship program is, at the beginning of the apprenticeship, we take people with no skills, and the whole point is to develop into engineers after 4 years. So it's alongside of cross skilling as well as academic skills in engineering.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, basically we're looking for people with an interest and an aptitude, not necessarily a lot of experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just going to ask this question actually that's come into the chat box just before it sort of moves all the way down. So it's a really great question. So thank you, Maverick, for asking this. I think this probably goes to Paul actually, and maybe, in fact, actually everybody on the panel. But I'm going to start with Paul. Can you tell me more about the day-to-day responsibilities of the engineering role?
Yeah, so obviously as an engineer, what you have to do is we have to keep the equipment running essentially, because the operations teams run at a high fast pace 24/7. We have maintenance windows within that framework. It depends on different sites. We have three 30-minute breaks where we can repair equipment if they need to do it. But we also have a maintenance window at 5 a.m. till 7 a.m. So that's when we do most of our reactive breakdowns. But however, we look at asset care, asset life, how to extend the asset, the equipment, make it run longer, make it more reliable. We're always looking for ways of doing that. When you go to most companies, it's reactive engineering. However, at Amazon, it's all about predictive and preventive maintenance, and we look at ways of reliability, making things last longer. So there's a lot of we teach people in matrix and data, pulling that data from the equipment and see how we can make continuous improvements on the equipment and make it better for the operations team.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Kieran, I was just wondering whether Kieran could just give us a bit of an overview of like a day in the life for yourself as an IT engineer apprentice.
Yeah, no, I think from what Paul said, it's very similar. Obviously, we're making sure that this equipment stays live 24/7 for the operations. A lot of reactive maintenance, whether it's cleaning, replacing, upgrading to make sure firmware and stuff on switches and some of the equipment we have in the building is up to date. But also just making sure that we're being very customer obsessed. Like the operations are our customer; they come first. We're always engaging with them. They approach us with different projects, different initiatives they want to bring in, and we help them to bring them to a finish and get them rolled out, potentially not just my FC wide, but potentially UK wide or even globally.
Great.
Thanks, Kieran.
Thank you. Okay, so here's a question I think probably for Ian. It's from Levi. So during the first year, will there be any working in an FC/delivery station/sort station with the Mechatronics RME apprenticeship?
Yes, yeah. So there are certain weeks during that first year when the training provider is shut down, whether they have their half terms and Christmas breaks, etc. And there are two options there. So apprentices can either take those as holidays, or they can go and back to their home FC or fulfillment or sort centre or delivery station and spend some time there working with the teams on site. Obviously, in the first year, you're not going to be that skilled, so you're not going to be let loose on the equipment, but you will certainly be able to meet the team, work with the team, understand the process, understand how they work. As you get more and more experience, obviously you'll be given more and more responsibility in years 2, 3 and 4. But during that first year, yes, there's definitely that opportunity. And also during the first week, you will spend some time in the fulfillment centre or delivery station, meeting the team and doing the onboarding activities at the site. So yeah, definitely opportunities to do that. But the bulk of that on-the-job learning takes place in years 2, 3 and 4.
Great. I'm hoping that answers Levi's question. Okay, so we've sort of got a two-part question from Joe, and it's for sort of Dan and Kieran, I think. So I'll ask the question and then see who wants to put their hand up first to answer it. So the question from Joe: why did you choose to do an apprenticeship, and then why Amazon? Who wants to go first? Oh, Dan had his hand up.
I'll take the lead one. So for me personally, being from such a productive background, within engineering as a hobby. Compared to university, you don't really get much experience on the tools in university. It's mostly paper-based, whereas as an apprenticeship, as I say, in the first year, you are away, but you do have them opportunities to come back to site if you wish during the periods where the training provider is closed for holidays. And then the second year, you're mainly back on site. Then we do block release, we go to college on the block release, but it's mainly tool-based on site. So you're with the engineers learning the day-to-day activities that they do to maintain the equipment. So for me personally, that was the reason why I chose an apprenticeship, was to gain the on-site experience while learning, also while getting paid to do all of the above.
So is that hands-on, getting stuck in, learning in that sort of way?
Well, university, you do your training, you do your coursework, but you don't really come out with much experience actually doing the work. So the on tools, maintaining the equipment. But whereas an apprenticeship, you're doing everything at the same time.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Kieran?
You know, I couldn't agree more with what Dan said. When I went through the process, I did apply for uni and I ended up getting an unconditional offer doing the same thing at Portsmouth. But I chose the apprenticeship route, not specifically just because it was Amazon, but mainly just to do with the fact that you do get the hands-on experience. You get some like industry experience as well. So like working with some of the industry standards in terms of like the networking equipment, so Cisco equipment, Juniper equipment, or even just some of the hardware like the PCs and all of this that we configure in the FCs. You do just, I think it's to say you have that experience is the bit that pushed me over the line to go for the apprenticeship rather than the degree at the university.
Thank you. We've got some great questions coming through, actually. And Paul is very quick off the fingers first in answering them. Thanks, Paul. I am going to pull out a question for, and I'm hoping I'm getting the pronunciation of this name right. Is it Mercia? Mercia? So it's a question for you, Paul, and it is, but actually I think it could probably apply to probably Dan and Kieran as well. What is the most rewarding part for you when teaching new people? Well, Machia, thank you.
It's on my part, it's the engagement. It's about working with young people, and it's about learning and seeing them succeed. And there's nothing better that gives you great reward and it's sense of achievement when you see people succeed and they push themselves and go above and beyond, because essentially a lot of them are here to learn. So they're actually working out the comfort zone, and you teach them a new skill, you know, and it's really a very rewarding experience for me.
Brilliant. And I'm going to turn that question actually into a question for Kieran and Dan in terms of what have you found the most rewarding part of your apprenticeship experience so far?
I think definitely being able to develop my skills and just say that, like when I started, I couldn't do something and now I can. But I think it's also being given a lot of responsibility to handle some of the projects and initiatives that come through the fulfillment centres. So currently one of the things I've been handling quite a lot recently is the life cycle of some of the switches. So it's a proactive change, but it's also making sure that we're staying within our standards that we have within the business. And we've been handling this from quite a high level because there's a lot of impact to the buildings. So it has to be done in the maintenance windows, obviously to keep operations running, but it's also just knowing that I've done something to keep this place alive, or keep the lights on, as we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can add on that as well. See yourself personally develop in your career. So you're coming into site, not really knowing much about the equipment that you're working on. And then 2 years later, you're keeping the site running. And you do get job satisfaction when you're called out to a job and you have to fault find the faults, diagnose, and then turn around that problem into actually like a gain for yourself, that you've fixed the machine, it's now up and running, operations are happy, and the site can go on and run.
Yeah, I think understanding the complexity of the engineering side of our business, when you look at the operation side, and I was in AMZL before moving into this role, it is so essential to the running of our business. And I think, really understanding the gravitas of the level of importance of keeping the sort of literal wheels turning in the background, it's absolutely unbelievable. It's a big responsibility, and I think it's been mentioned a couple of times. It's sort of 24/7. I think anybody could probably answer this, but Paul, you may be in the right seat. How do the sort of shift patterns work for our apprentices once they're in the buildings?
It's all dependent on different sites.
Okay.
I'll just give you an example of Man 3, what we do here at Man 3. Obviously, they spend the first year MTC, and then when they come to the site in the second year, they spend the second year on days. So what they do is we have them in a program where they learn how the building behaves. So they'll spend 4 months working with the reliability team, 4 months working with the robotics team, and then we have them doing 4 months with the estates team. And then what we do is, hopefully, once they've got the KSB signed off, in years 3 and 4, they move over onto shifts. So they learn about their engineering skills and do all that cross-skilling with working closely with the RME teams on shifts. At Man 3, we work a 5 days on, 5 days off shift pattern, which incorporates working 2 weekends and then having 2 weekends off.
Great. We're nearly at time, but I've got a really nice question from one of our attendees today called Connor, and I think it's possibly for you, Ian, actually, but probably Paul as well. So Connor's question is: after the apprenticeships, would there be a chance to go higher within the company? That's going to be our final question for today. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So, once people have completed an apprenticeship, there would be a target role that we would hopefully they will take up, and then after that, then definitely people have the opportunity to grow with the company. Amazon has grown really quickly over the past few years. For example, we've got a number of apprentices who finished their program who are now senior RME people, so senior techs. And the sky's the limit, really. What we really want is for people to what we really want is for people to go as high as possible. The goal for the apprenticeship team would be to take somebody who had got no qualifications whatsoever, an entry-level apprenticeship, and for them to eventually end up as, say, a general manager of a site. That's one of the goals. That's really what we want, is for people to do their apprenticeship, to stay with us, and then to progress their career with us.
Yeah, we certainly see it as the start of the career, don't we?
Yeah. I've got an example of that last question. Is when I started in 2016, we took on an apprentice. He just finished an apprenticeship at another company. He came in the business as a BMT, and now he's my manager at one of the sites. He's a site manager, so he's achieved that in 6 years.
That's amazing. I think it really is. It's a platform for you to move your career forward into whichever direction you want to go. And Amazon is such a diverse company, and the sort of size of our operations and our engineering demand is huge, isn't it? So it's a brilliant platform.
And they're also, you might do one apprenticeship and then do another apprenticeship. So apprenticeships, they're not limited. Once you've done one, that's it. You can't do any more. There are opportunities with apprenticeships as well to develop in different directions.
Absolutely. Okay, it's probably time for us to say goodbye for this session. Firstly, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everybody that joined from our audience. I would like to say a huge thank you to our apprentices who were in the hot seat, Paul from our hiring manager perspective, and Ian obviously to represent all of the programmes. It's been absolutely brilliant, the level of engagement from the audience. So huge thank you for all of the questions. I would encourage you to have a look at the rest of the webinars, see if there's any that are also of interest to you if you found today useful. Don't forget about our in-person events. Check out the new website and start your application hopefully on the 6th of Feb. So goodbye from me. I don't know if that's is it, and goodbye from them.
Yeah, goodbye and good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.